It's an honor to be here, and I want to welcome everyone online. Nicole and Lucy, our love is with you, and to anyone watching this in the future, hi. It's really cool to time travel. It was beautiful to see everyone on stage, and there's something about actual humanity that is not overrated. That we get to be human beings together. And the second principle of unity is that we're part of this God thing, that there's a spark of divinity within all of us. And one of the things about unity, too, is it's about changing the world from the inside out, that the real work that needs to be done is inside of us. And as we change on the inside and grow and heal, it changes the reality outside of us. It changes not only the way we see the world, but what we bring forth from the world, because we're all co-creating this. And science has broke that down and done all those studies. The observer affects the experiment. And we're designed to thrive. We're designed to love. We're designed to be part of community and to help create this container, because we are creating this container of unity, spiritual community together. And our desire is to make a place that's safe for people of all spiritual beliefs, that you can be Buddhist and come here. You can be Christian and come here. That there's a spark of the divine that's woven through the threads that makes us all who we are. You can be Jewish and come here. You can be left-handed and come here. And today, so hang on, time out. May Day just happened, and it's part of the circle of the seasons. And so our message today is basically looking at the celebration of Beltane, which is what May Day comes from. And we have, so I'm sure you've all seen the Celtic cross, where it's the cross with a circle around it. And the 4 points are the solar events, the solar solstice, the summer solstice, the winter solstice, and the fall and spring equinoxes. And in the quarters of those are the full moon celebrations. And Beltane is one of those. And Beltane's a fire celebration, and I thought that was strange. And I want to thank Devin Malone, who helped me write this talk and helped me do some of the research on it. But on the full moon celebrations, they were considered fire celebrations because they celebrated them at night, and they would build a huge bonfire. And for the Beltane celebration in Ireland, for instance, there was a center hill. And from the center hill, you could look out and see all the different villages having their Beltane fires lighting. And this was a time of, if you can imagine for a moment, everyone being huddled into their shelters and the animals being brought into their shelters for the winter. And everyone having coats and overcoats and galoshes, and the short days and the bitter cold and people being huddled in together. And then Beltane was a celebration of coming out. It was a changing of the season. And they would light bonfires, and one of the things they would do is they would light bonfires in rows and pairs, and they would push their animals through the smoke to fumigate the animals. It was a time of cleaning out. And they would empty their hearths, and from the communal fire, the communal big bonfire, they would gather the new coals and bring them in for the new season. And it was a time of shortage because the crops haven't grown yet. So it was a time of communal sharing and also the planting of the seeds. And fathers would walk the property to bless the four corners of the property for the planting. And people were sussing stuff out and organizing stuff and getting ready for the busy season and letting go of the winter. And yeah, something like that. So, and I'm just me, just doing the best I can. I'm not a professional here. But, well, technically. But I had this beautiful idea that we would get a maypole, and they would select a maypole out of birchwood. And then they would have the younger people would dance around the maypole with these ribbons. And we wanted to actually do this, and we will. although it may not be this year, because the dance is elaborate. The dance is elaborate around the maypole. It's woven in with the threads. And what's so beautiful about that is it's a symbolism for the weaving of the divine feminine and the divine masculine into the maypole. And this is a time when babies are being made and grass is growing forth and crops are beginning to grow. It's where all the things that were planted in the darkness are beginning to shoot life forth. All the things that we dreamed, seeds we planted into our subconscious, hopes, this is a time for them to grow. And the invitation is the behoovement. I love to behoove. You have been behooven. It's one of those forgotten words. I like to go around behooving people. But to behoove, to consider the seeds we sowed during the winter solstice when we did our fire ceremony. You know, in the dark depths of winter, we all got together and we wrote down on pieces of paper what we wish to let go of from our lives. And we wrote down on pieces of paper what we wish to accept into our lives. The behoovement today is now you, as sovereign human beings, to think about what you wish to accept into your life, to think about the patterns you wish to sow into your life, because the fact is, Jack, that life is fresh and new right now. That we are creating this world right now. That we have that power within ourselves to behold new ideas and walk forth into them. To the idea of letting go of the winter. The idea that we're fresh and new and in life right now. In our inauguration of the new members, you know, we created a space for people who are new in recovery, who are rebuilding their lives. We create a space of people recovering not just from a religious trauma, but from actual trauma. To create a container that's safe for people to heal, for us to heal. And what's even more beautiful, or as beautiful, is there are many people sitting here right now who have done extensive healing work, who've done extensive trauma work. And they come not because they want to receive or get the space, but to help create the space. There is sage wisdom sitting in this room right now, and all they want to do is give it back. And this is a time that and it's a choice. It's a conscious choice to step out of the frozenness, to step out of the disempowerment, to step out of the confusion and the noise of this world, and step into something of harmony. To step into something of love, of healing. I have a fairy tale that I would like to read. And in my class right now, I'm finally out of the grief class, which was 5 weeks of grief. And now we're going into a class that's all about integrity. It's all the importance. In the ministry school, they're really... You know, this is a bad expression, but sometimes I use bad expressions. They're really hammering down into us to create a space of integrity within us so that we can bear witness to others, to see the face of God in others, to hear other people's stories or other people's tragedies or their confusion and remain in our own integrity. In Unity, we deal a lot with prayer. And the concept in that is it's not about the words we say when we pray. It's to stand in our own integrity and hold that out for someone else. When we can stand in our own certainty and in our own integrity and know that we're part of this all and that we're more than bodies and that our worthiness is not subject to the economy, that our true worth and beauty is not subject to what's going on in the outside world, we can then hold that out for others. One of my favorite things in sponsoring other alcoholics, and I remember, goodness sakes, when I first got sober and came to the rooms of AA, I was broken. I was broken. And to have someone just look at me and say, hey, man, there's another side. There's another side. You know, you will be putting your life back together. You will fall in love. You will have joy and happiness again. It's been proven over and over again. So this is a traditional story from this place called Sweden. Heard of it? It's a fictional place to me, but I've seen it on a map. And I've met people who've been there, so I know it's real, or at least I'm pretty sure. And it gives a sense of the next phase of the journey within. So we have this princess, and her name is Eris. And because of the mishaps of her parents, a young princess must be betrothed to a fearful dragon. Classic. When the king and queen tell her, she becomes frightened for her life. But recovering her wits, she goes out beyond the market to seek out a wise woman who has raised 12 children and 29 grandchildren and knows the ways of dragons. The wise woman tells Eris that she indeed must marry the dragon, but there are proper ways to approach a dragon. She then gives instructions for the wedding night. In particular, the princess is bidden to wear 10 beautiful gowns on top of one another. The wedding takes place, the feast is held in a palace, after which the dragon carries the princess off to the bedchamber. When the dragon advances towards the bride, she stops him, saying she must carefully remove her wedding attire before giving her heart to him. And then he too, she adds, instructed by the wise woman, must properly remove his attire. To this he willingly agrees. She says, as I take off each layer of my gown, you must also remove a layer. Then, taking off the first gown, the princess watches the dragon shed his outer layer of scaly armor. Though it is painful, the dragon has done this periodically before. But then the princess removes another gown, and then another. And each time the dragon finds he too must claw off a deeper layer of scales. By the fifth gown, the dragon begins to weep copious tears at the pain. Yet the princess continues. With each successive layer, the dragon's skin becomes more and more tender, and its form softens, and it becomes lighter and lighter. And when the princess removes her 10th gown, the prince is revealed as a dragon removes its last layer of scales, and his eyes sparkle like a child. Released at last from the ancient spell of his dragon form. Princess Eris and her new husband are then left for the rest of their marriage. And one of the things that really touched me when I read this and that I feel is so precious, as we move about in this world we live in, and as we grow up in the families we grow up in, there are generations of trauma. And we look out at the world right now, and there's trauma going on in the world right now. And it's only natural for us to begin to numb ourselves, to build up walls around ourselves. And those walls end up becoming our prison, and our lives end up becoming smaller and smaller. And I truly believe that this is a significant time in the juncture of human history. And life is calling us forth to be more than cranky, to be more than hard, to be more than tough. To tear off those skills of our own, to look at our own habits and our own patterns, and find ways out, to find ways to have a soft heart. One of the greatest victories in my life is that I get to have a soft heart. I get to be tender-hearted. I get to be in a place where I'm not so worried about what people think of me that I can care. I can be a dorky, clumsy man who just cares. And for me, that's a victory in this life. And the invitation is for each one of us as sovereign human beings walking this planet in relationship to it. Let us take the time to examine it. Let us give ourselves some grace. Let's find something to love within ourselves so that our heart can just begin to open. because we're worthy of nothing less than that. And I wish you all the best.